Today, we are diving into one of the most incredible stories ever told, how a human being is created. We're going to trace the blueprint of life, from that very first spark all the way to a brand new person.
You know, it all really boils down to this one profound question. How on earth does a single, microscopic cell transform into a complex, thinking, feeling human being? Well, let's follow that incredible journey together and find out.
So, here's our roadmap. First, we'll look at the male and female blueprint to get to know the key players. Then we'll dive into the spark of life, which is all about how those essential building blocks are made. After that, we'll track the amazing 9-month transformation from cell to baby. And finally, we'll explore what this all means in the real world in navigating reproductive health. Let's get started.
All right, section 1. Look, before you can build anything, you need to know the parts, right? So we're starting with the fundamental hardware, the systems inside the male and female body designed to create and transport the very seeds of new life.
Okay, so think of the primary sex organs as having two absolutely critical jobs. For males, the testes are like these little factories producing both the sperm cells and the hormone testosterone. And for females, the ovaries do a similar thing. They create the ovum, the egg, and the essential hormones estrogen and progesterone. It's this combo of cell production and hormonal signals that really powers the entire system.
Now, sperm cells don't just pop into existence ready for action. Oh no. Once they're made, they go on a whole maturation journey. They travel through a series of tiny tubes, and the most critical stop along the way is the epididymis. You can think of it as a boot camp, where the sperm mature, learn how to swim, and then get stored for their ultimate mission.
Meanwhile, the female ovum has its own path to follow. After it's released from the ovary, it gets guided into the fallopian tube, and its destination is a very specific spot called the ampulla. Now, you got to remember this place, because it's the most common meeting point. It's the place where fertilization is most likely to happen.
So, we've seen the hardware. Now let's talk about the software. The incredibly intricate process of creating those specialized cells that each carry half of the genetic code for a new human. This is where the magic really starts.
In males, sperm production, which we call spermatogenesis, kicks into high gear at puberty, and then it just runs continuously. It's literally like a constant assembly line. It starts with these basic stem cells that divide and mature through several stages, ultimately churning out millions and millions of mature sperm.
But the female process, well, that's a completely different story. Instead of a non-stop factory, it's more like a time capsule. A female is born with all the egg cells she will ever have, and they just wait, paused in development. Then, starting at puberty, 1 cell per month resumes its journey. But, and this is wild, it only completes its final stage of division if it gets fertilized. Talk about biological patience.
And this whole monthly process is driven by the menstrual cycle, which is like a hormonal orchestra with 4 main acts. It starts by shedding the old uterine lining, then spends the next phase preparing a new ovum. Ovulation is the main event, the big release. And finally, the last phase gets the uterus all prepped and ready, just in case a fertilized egg is on its way.
And right around day 14 of that cycle, something absolutely pivotal happens. There's a sharp spike in something called luteinizing hormone, or LH. This LH surge is the powerful signal that tells the ovary, okay, it's time. It's the trigger that causes the mature ovum to finally be released. This is the moment the window for fertilization officially opens. So, the stage is set. The ovum has been released. If it meets a sperm, an entirely new journey begins. The 9-month odyssey from a single cell all the way to a human baby. The second that one sperm successfully fuses with the ovum, fertilization is complete, and this creates the very first cell of a new life, the zygote. It's this microscopic powerhouse, but it already contains the complete genetic instruction manual, all 46 chromosomes, for a totally unique individual. That single cell immediately gets to work. While it's traveling down the fallopian tube, the zygote just starts dividing like crazy. 2 cells become 4, 4 become 8, and so on. This rapid multiplication creates a tiny, solid little ball of cells called the morula. As the cells keep dividing, they start to rearrange themselves into a hollow structure we call a blastocyst. And now, it has a really critical mission. It has to implant itself into the rich lining of the uterus. This event, which happens around day 6 or 7, is what officially establishes the pregnancy and plugs the embryo into its life support system. Once it's implanted, the 9-month pregnancy is usually broken down into 3 trimesters.
The first trimester is all about building the foundation. All the major organs start to form. The second is focused on rapid growth, and that's when you might start to feel fetal movements. And the third and final trimester is all about the finishing touches, getting the baby fully developed and ready for its grand entrance into the world.
You know, understanding this incredible biology is one thing, but how does it actually apply to our lives? In this last section, we're going to shift gears from the biological process to the personal one, navigating all the choices and challenges that come with reproductive health.
Of course, a huge part of reproductive health is family planning, and there's a really wide range of birth control methods out there, and they all work on different principles. Some use a physical barrier to keep sperm and egg apart, others use hormones to stop ovulation from happening in the first place, and some are permanent surgical options for people who are certain about their choice. Another critical piece of the puzzle is preventing sexually transmitted diseases, or STDs. And there's a really crucial distinction to understand here. Bacterial infections, like gonorrhea and syphilis, are generally curable with antibiotics, but viral infections, like AIDS, which is caused by HIV, well, right now, there's no cure for those.
And that distinction is exactly why prevention is it's absolutely key. The main strategies are pretty straightforward. Being cautious about new or multiple partners, always using condoms to create that physical barrier, and getting regular medical checkups to stay on top of your health.
This really widens the lens on what it means to be healthy, doesn't it? Reproductive health isn't just about not having a disease, it's about a complete state of physical, emotional, and social well-being in everything related to reproduction. It's really about empowering people with the knowledge and the freedom to make the choices that are right for them.
So what happens when this whole process doesn't go as planned? For people facing infertility, science offers a ton of hope through what's called assisted reproductive technology, or ART. This includes methods like IVF, where fertilization happens in a lab, and even more precise techniques like ICSI, where a single sperm is carefully injected directly into the ovum.
And that brings us to our final question. We've journeyed from a single cell's blueprint all the way to technologies that can literally assist in its creation. As science just keeps advancing at this incredible pace, it really makes you wonder, what will the future of human reproduction even look like? Thanks for joining us for this explainer.